We created a Brand Live platform, which is a very unique offering. It's technology, it's process, it's people, but it's all around kind of harnessing the insights, the intersections of interests and behavior, the news that's around us, including entertainment and what people are talking about, what people need and want and why that news is important to them, and what the brand's objectives are, tying that all together in a very, very agile way to put some messaging and experiences out there that will grasp people's voices, and they can start to tell the brand story with the brand.
So it's really interesting because where we haven't touched upon, we talked about storytelling, but in a real operational sense, the creative process.
Right.
And how does creative now fit into this construct, right? I mean, we're talking about taking what is a very subjective, ethereal thing, this, the idea driving it right now, and bringing something that's insight-driven and analytics and technology. How does that all blend together in something that's fluid and actually works consistently and constantly?
Well, technology is a great agent of change, and that's what we've seen over the last several years. But ideas are an agent of emotions, and that's where that's the starting point for creativity. So we can change the way we synthesize the information that we're getting, the insights that we're getting, because it's all data until we make some sense of it. We have to go to a gut level, and we have to use our emotions, because that's how people make decisions in the end. And then we come up with ideas and experiences around those emotive values. We then can distribute using technology. So if you think about the ideas as sort of an emotional hatching, and then the way we distribute, the way we move those ideas and those experiences, we're using technology, and it's so agile and interesting. The way we measure, again, the technology has helped us greatly, but then it comes back to we're measuring, we're looking, we're optimizing from a gut level. And the tools that we're using are important, but we still have to get to that insight. And the insight still brings us to an idea, and only when we find that, we can have some impact on the brand's bottom line. There are several ways that we're doing that. I think brands are borrowing from the newsroom, and people have been using that catchphrase, brands as newsrooms. I think we're borrowing a model. We're borrowing a model for agility. We're borrowing a model for efficiency versus becoming newsmakers. We're not newsmakers. We're using the way they create content, curate content, co-create, originate content, and move content through the masses. We're using that model now in marketing, and that's fascinating. I'm learning a lot from my news brethren.
So I think just kind of one more question I really want to get at is, you've spent a lot of time with brands, right? Sort of, because you've been on this journey for a while, right? And I think you have this great ability to give a sense of comfort and security, which is really important for marketers and brands to take risks. What keeps the brand manager up at night? I mean, when it comes to this new sort of uncharted territory that we're about ready to endeavor upon, what is it? Is it big data? Is it content? Is it the challenge of always being on and democratizing your brand by giving it to your consumer or to people? I
think it's all of that, and I think that's part of the issue. I think part of what's keeping them up at night is that it is all of that. And if we get back to the sort of ideals around organizing ourselves to deliver what we need to deliver on behalf of a brand, and that means organizing the brand marketer as well. So what keeps them up at night is all of this confluence of information that they're getting, and the speed at which they're getting it. We have to help them navigate through that. I think they're also worried because a lot of brands are still working in a way that rewards risk differently than we need to reward risk today. Mm-hmm. So if you think about the way marketers are rewarding risk, and agencies and media companies, we need to change that value, and we need to change the value between marketers and agencies and media partners, and the value between brands and consumers. So I think that's the crux of the question and the issue that's keeping brand marketers awake. They only have so much money, so much time. They know everything that they need to do in terms of moving that needle, but finding the right partners to do it is one of the other problems, because there are now more players. And I think one of the other changes we're going to see is, how do we use partners? How do brands use partners? How do agencies use partners to make this job a little bit easier? We talk about hybrid talent. We talk about platforms starting as a point of creativity. I think we're going to see all of that in the next couple of years. There are going to be a lot of mergers and acquisitions and really smart partnerships, so that brands will not be awake at night, brand marketers will not be awake, because they'll see that their partners are converging on their behalf.